Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. A couple of days ago, when Asobo has dropped the aircraft and avionics beta update for Microsoft Flight Simulator, there has been a problem introduced in the Boeing 737, which was that the radio tuning panels have been rendered inoperative. And the good news is that with today's update, as of the 9th of December 2022 and Flight Simulator version 30.7, Asobo has actually fixed the problem, and as we can see down here, the radios are now fully operative once again, and that goes for both sides as we can see. So your 737 is fully operable again, but do remember, since there have been changes done on the radio in order to get your aircraft Cat 3 certified again, you have to do a practice autoland in VMC conditions, or at least in better than Category 3 conditions. So head out now, that is what we would do in the real airplane if there have been changes done to the radio units. The aircraft would lose its Cat 3 status and be downgraded to a Cat 1 status, so our autolands in actual IMC would no longer be permitted, and in order to get the aircraft certified once again, the pilots have to do a practice autoland on the line while actually in Cat 1 or better conditions. That is just to verify that the aircraft is actually operating correctly, and before the aircraft is allowed to operate in IMC, it has to be demonstrated that it works correctly. Now let me quickly address a couple of comments that I received below the original video where I had announced the update, or rather the broken radios due to the update. And in that video I primarily covered alternatives, how to get around that Nav Radio problem, primarily by pointing to RNAV approaches. So the reason I created that video is to say, hey guys, that issue has just been introduced with the update, however, here is your way around it to keep your 737 flying until a fix is available. Now, I believe 4 days later that fix is available, so your 737 is fully operable again as soon as you have conducted that practice autoland. And it would be fully operable again without the practice autoland as well. That is just for the realism guys among you. But there have been a couple of comments below that video as well, where a couple of people said, oh, always it's PMDG pointing at something. So let me just quickly address that. First of all, what I am saying on this channel is not necessarily PMDG's opinion unless I expressively say it is. So I have uploaded I have uploaded a video on my channel in which I explain exactly what the function of a tech team member is and what I do and the kind of inputs that I make. So if you haven't done so yet, I very much recommend you to check that one out. That is in order to give you guys full transparency over here on what my position is, if I can call it a position as all as a volunteer. But the other point there is that some people said like, oh, it's always PMDG pointing at someone for breaking their stuff. And even though normally those comments go more like, okay, everybody's just got something to complain about, nonetheless, let me quickly address that. In that we had been using a function from the official SDK for the radios, so these things here are programmed according to the official SDK, and that SDK function broke with the beta update. So that, in my opinion, makes it fair to say that Asobo broke it, because this part of the code is compliant. Now there are of course other parts in this airplane which may not be 100% compliant with the SDK, in order to circumvent some problems. And first of all, don't take me exactly by the word here. I can't tell you exactly which kind of components these are. But of course PMDG, just like any developer, on some certain aspects just has to work around some stuff. Even though they are, of course, trying to generally keep their aircraft as compliant with the SDK as possible to avoid issues like this. So if it is a part that is not in the SDK that breaks with an update, then of course it is a problem of the developer. But if there is something that is SDK compliant that breaks, then of course it is Asobo who has changed it. Of course we are still talking about a beta program over here, so the issue is only affecting those who have opted into the aircraft and avionics update, and not everybody. And of course, you guys have been absolutely right when you said in the comments that stuff has to be expected to break in a beta. The only thing I wanted to address in here is the way I said it, that Asobo has broken it, which is what a couple of you guys hang up on. So just be aware, that is how this particular line came up. And let me also use this chance, while we're at it anyway, to address another point here. That was a couple people saying that I shouldn't do clickbait headlines as they interpreted my original video like it. Now, in these terms, I can just quickly say that the headline was actually not even intended as a clickbait headline, but instead I had some issues there trying to come up with a headline that would actually match the actual situation, while at the same time being compliant with the way that most of you guys see the titles of my videos. And the way most of you see them is by looking at the videos on mobile devices, and they typically don't show the entire length of the title, like, for example, desktop computers under certain situations would. And therefore I had to find a way that the headline can contain everything that is important, while at the same time being readily available to the user. So initially I thought about calling it something like Aircraft and Avionic Update Beta is breaking the Nav radios. But chances are, when viewing the title on a mobile phone, all you would see is Aircraft and Avionics. And in the word avionics it would probably break up already. So that way it was pretty hard to actually include the relevant information in the part that people see first. And that's how I ended up with the title as it turned out in the end. And that's why at the very beginning of the video, just like in the pinned comments and in the video description, I immediately put in that it only affects the beta version. The vast majority of people have of course gotten that, but I got a couple comments addressing that, so I thought it would only be fair when I actually do reply to it. And I thought the easiest way to do it is just by including it in this particular video. So, I hope that clears up a couple of the things that some of you have been wondering about, and I would like to thank you very much for your attention. As always, like, comment and subscribe if you do actually like the video. Comment in any case to let me know if you think that my line of thought there was reasonable or not, and as always, do let me know what you think about the video itself. Thank you very much for your attention, I hope that you have enjoyed today, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.